Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming back to the podcast. My special guest today is Mr. David Day, who is co-owner and publisher of the Post newspaper based in Galveston County, Texas. David, good to have you on.
Thank you. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak with you.
Absolutely. So, full disclosure, I do some freelance contribution work. I am a contributor to the Post newspaper, so we want to get that out there. But I wanted to bring David on. I know he's a man of faith, and I know the paper has kind of that approach as well, and cover some good news in the community. So, David, I wanted you to come on and talk about first off your origins in the paper business, and then later on we'll go into a little bit of your personal faith.
Well, I started in the newspaper business in the classified advertising sales in 1977, and throughout the years was able to have a few promotions here and there, and just fell in love with the business. Just really enjoyed it, and a few years back in 2003. I just had this dream of starting my own newspaper. And so my wife, my son, and I decided to start the Post newspaper. And of course, the emphasis we wanted to have with this newspaper, it's a hyper local positive news newspaper with a faith-based background.
Okay. And when you first started the paper, was there any existing papers in that part of Galveston County, the Texas City area, or were you the Lone Ranger out there, the only one that was doing it?
We actually opened up in in Santa Fe, Texas, because the Texas City Sun was still open
Okay.
where we lived and still live. But within a year, they closed. It was almost a 100-year-old paper that closed. And so we felt that, we know Tech City, we live in Tech City, and Tech City deserves a newspaper. And so we moved from Santa Fe to Texas City. And we opened in Santa Fe because we didn't want to directly compete with our friends at the Texas City Sun. But when they closed, it opened that market for us. And it's been a good move.
Okay. A lot of people, as you just said a minute ago, like the Texas City Sun closed. There's a lot of newspapers that's closed. I know one I was at years ago, we walked in one day and half the newsroom was laid off and the other half remained for a short amount of time, and then it was bought and sold by other people. It's a tumultuous business. How have you found the journey?
It's been challenging. It's been tough. You depend on subscriptions, you depend on ad sales. And it's been more difficult having my own newspaper than just working for someone else, all those years that I did that. But we're now approaching year 21 since our inception of the Post newspaper. So we're still there. We're still here, I should say. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
We
Yeah.
feel blessed. Feel like we've come a long way. So
Okay. And so for people who are not familiar with that business, now they may be familiar with maybe they know someone who's a reporter, they know someone who's an editor, but the publisher and the co-owner of the paper, talk about some of those extra responsibilities that most people don't know goes on behind the scenes.
well, I mean, it's a lot. It's like right now. Here, we're just completing our 20th year, and I just finished working for today a few minutes ago before this podcast, and it's just a never-ending job. There's always something to do, and with meetings and meeting people out in the community, going to chambers of commerce meetings and various other meetings in the community, and going to church and all that, and just being a part of what's happening in the community. It just is nonstop. And, but we enjoy doing that, or I enjoy doing that. So
Sure. And sources of news, a lot of people don't understand how the newspaper gets their sources for news, and how do you know what to cover? So speak to you, if you will, about that to people who may not be familiar with how it works.
Well, with us, I have my editor Brandon Williams that mainly handles all that for me. But it was through many discussions and stuff of what our emphasis and focus is. And we stay away from the negative news. We stay away from controversial things. We feel like people find out that information from every which direction, and stuff. And whether even if it's radio, TV, large newspapers and stuff are all constantly bombarding the citizens with that. What we try to do is focus on or try to find local positive news, things that are going on in the community where even children doing things that are different or unique. Um, like we just had a story on a gentleman that was in Iwo Jima. He's 98 years old and still lives in the area, and actually met him at church. And that was just a really nice story of his experience, and announcing that the flag was raised back then. And I can't imagine what he went through and stuff, but just reading his story kind of helped you see a little bit of it and stuff. But
Right.
that's the type of we want to do. And then we also allow ministers and people of faith to write articles to give people hope and encouragement and godly advice.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure you probably get maybe tips that are sent into you. Hey, this event's coming up. You might want to send some out there. Do you get stuff like that from the community? People telling you?
We do. We do. We're very fortunate, since I've lived here for almost 60 years of my life. I'll be 70 in a few months, but um, I know a lot of people, and people will either call us, email us, or come by even and tell us about something that's going on. And knowing that we like to focus on good, positive community things, where the other papers won't cover it at all, and that just a mistake on their part. But it's good news for us, and
There's that old saying, and I know you've heard this being in the news industry as long as you have. If it bleeds, it leads. Or bad news sells, which
yeah,
unfortunately people do gravitate to bad news.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah,
A lot of people do. And of course, maybe we're making a mistake by not covering all the blood and gore and all the wrecks and fires and various people getting shot and things like that. But I just feel like that we would just be part of the other negative news. And
mm,
uh, we want to be different and unique. And
right.
we like, from all the comments and all the people that have sent in letters and cards and thanked us for what we're doing over the years, we've had so many that seem to just love the paper because of what we do as far as being, the hyper local positive news.
So, David, in today's world, a lot of people don't see the print newspaper the way they used to. There's still a few in the area, where we live in Texas, but there's not many. What's the appeal, and why do you continue to keep that print product going instead of just maybe like an online only, where like a lot of other news agencies have these days?
Well, Richard, what keeps me going and what drives me is, every time I turn around, if I'm at the grocery store, like I said, if I'm at church, if where I go in the community, people are coming up and say, "Oh man, I love that article," or "I love this, love that, love that crossword puzzle," and various other things, and they just thank us or thank me, for all that we're doing. And we actually give a lot of ad space to we donate it to nonprofits and churches and things like that, just to help them. And people feel just so blessed by what we're doing. And we feel like we're giving back to God. And
Right.
so it drives us to continue doing that. So
Okay. And on that note, giving back to God, talk about the role that faith has in how you run the paper.
it in every aspect. I mean, we pray over our staff, we pray with our staff. We seek God's guidance in in every decision that we make. And we pray for our staff and things that they're going through, and stuff like that. We try to give them encouragement and hope, and know that they're part of a family. It's more than just an employee. It's a family.
Right. Okay. And I know when you pick the paper up, it's not just one area of coverage or the other. I think there's quite a variety of different things in there. You might find local events, like you said earlier, local stories of people from the community, but then there's also some global news in there and national news.
A little bit, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We do that and stuff, but we mainly try to focus on the things in our county,
Mm-hmm.
and especially our main cities anyway. So
Right. So the role of faith in your personal life, David, did you grow up going to church and having that emphasis at home, or is it something that you found later on in life?
I found it later on in life when I actually when I was 16, and my sister had recently gotten married, and her husband was very involved in a church in the community, and they called us and said they were having a revival, and they had it was a free pizza night. We're like, what? Free pizza? True story. And we're like, no, free food. And so we went, and we just just opened our eyes to a different world, and we found the Lord. And my mom and I did, and then next my dad and my sister did, and then it actually went through the entire family, all three brothers and my sister and their spouses and stuff. So and then children and grandchildren, and it's carried on from there. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
we had never read the Bible in my life until after we
Yeah.
joined the church.
Okay. And David, can you give maybe an example of two of how your faith has kind of carried you through a difficult time? Just some general examples of how faith has carried you through.
Well, I mean, we've had many struggles, and even financial struggles, because you depend on the local businesses running ads with you and supporting your paper, and then local citizens subscribing to the paper. Uh, Without that money, you can't continue to pay your bills and pay your people. And there's been a few times over the years that we just really are in deep prayer.
And running the paper now. So how many people do you have working for you, and who's kind of doing what?
We actually have at one time we had 17 employees.
Wow.
But through COVID really, really hurt us in every area. We actually have, besides myself, we have 5 other employees,
Okay.
and so we've dropped down a lot. So
Right.
it's not something I'm proud of, but it's something that we had to do to keep the
Mhm.
paper going.
Mhm. How do you, David, how do you keep the newspaper, whether it's a print paper or even if you did it online, how do you keep it relevant in today's world with more and more social media, media like this, like podcasting, which is a big thing now, and streaming and, live streams. And then now you got AI that's kind of creeping in and doing stuff instead of people, unfortunately. How do you see staying relevant in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I mean, we constantly talk about videos or podcasts and other things too, but we're trying to have a presence on all social medias, but bring people back to the hard copy paper if it's
Yep.
still possible. But there's so many people out there, more than people realize, that still want to hold that paper in their hand,
Mhm.
even though all these social medias and like you said, the podcasts and other things are really taking off. People still want to hold the paper and actually
Mhm.
sit there and just read it. But we are working hard at trying to do the others, all the other the social media and podcasts and stuff like that too. So
Okay. Well, I'm with you. I'm a legacy product person. I love a print newspaper. As you know, I ask from time to time, can you bring me some papers, David?
yeah,
And I can't tell you how many people, for people who follow, David and I on the Post, I mean, I write a lot of NASA stories. Those folks love it when they see their picture on the paper, and a lot of people still do.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Really. Well, and that's what we found. I mean, everyone keeps saying papers are dying, papers are dying. Well, I heard that 30 plus years ago, and we're still here,
right?
and we're going to continue carrying on. And we feel like God's got a place for us.
Hmm. What, David? What's the hallmark of a good story? When you see stories come in from your writers, or maybe even if it's a submission from like a press release or something like that, and you're looking at it, what's the hallmark of a good story? Because space is limited in the newspaper, and you want stuff that's in there that's going to communicate a message. But you probably get a lot of stuff, but maybe not all of it's fit for the paper. What are you looking for?
We keep looking for something that will benefit our readers and supporters of the paper or subscribers. We feel like they want to know something that will help them or educate them or just let them know what's going on in the community um, that you don't hear in the daily papers. And there's a lot of things going on in the community
Hmm.
that you never see it in the large papers ever. And those are the kind of stories and things that we want to publish.
Okay. Okay. And are there any new features or new stories that are coming up that are going to be incorporated in?
Um, Brandon and Ruth Ann are constantly. Ruth Ann is our special features editor, and but they're constantly discussing various topics and stuff. We've uh, got a lot of stuff in the hopper, but just have to see what's going to pan out. So
Okay. Well, very good. Well, David, if people outside of the area, or maybe they're people that are not familiar with the Post, if they want to find out more information on it, how they can subscribe, maybe they want to support what you're doing through advertising, if they're a business, or they just want to pick up copies or maybe see it on the internet, where's the best place for them to find all that information?
the well, our phone number, it's 409-943-4265. Our website is www.the newspaper.net. And then, of course, we're on Facebook and several of the other social medias too. So,
Okay.
uh,
Well, very good. Well, David, thanks for coming on and talking a little bit about the background of the paper, what the paper has to offer to the community and those outside the community, and of course, your own personal faith journey.
well, thank you, my friend. I sure appreciate you giving me this wonderful opportunity. So.